Puzzle me this. How can these three pieces of wood possibly be a kind of entertaining puzzle? Well, let's see. Boom! That's how. Because if you take your time and you process this very precisely, you will have a perfectly created little wooden puzzle. It locks up and there's some shifting because that's part of the fun. You have to take it apart. Now, to do this, I am outfitting you with your own little orthographic drawings of the parts. This part, you're going to need two of, and this part, you're going to need one of. Now, here's the trick. If you make the gaps way too loose, oh man, now I need to, let's see. If you, no, that's not it. It's a good puzzle, that's for sure. All right. If you make your gaps too loose, the puzzle's not going to hold together tightly. That's no good. If you make the gaps too small, they won't be able to fit the pieces the way they need to. If it isn't centered, it's not going to be able to stand up. So this is a great exercise to your precision in measurement, as well as using the different tools that we have in the woodshop. This video is going to guide you step by step by step by step until you have finished your puzzle. Step one, you need to get these drawings onto your workpiece. The pieces that I've prepared for you are the correct thickness. As long as you draw out your stuff, it should work totally fine. Now, when you're laying this out, you want to keep something in mind. You're going to be cutting these pieces out. Now, if I were to, let's say, if I were to be cutting these two rectangles out, what's really handy, if I put them right next to each other, is that I can cut it once here, and look at that. I've already also done my cut for the next piece. The caution is that the blade itself is going to have a thickness. So when you're drawing these pieces, you can't put them right next to each other. Otherwise, you're going to cut out extra material. If you pretend my pencil is the blade, as it goes to cut this line, it's going to cut out a significant portion. Oh, I can't do this. If the pencil is the blade, when it goes along the pathway, it's going to cut out over the line. That's no good. So I'm going to diagram this now so you can see mine. Also, you want to pay attention to knots and any weirdness in your wood. You need to diagram it so it goes along with the lines in the wood. I'll do mine now. So here I've got my pieces laid out. These two are right next to each other with a little bit of a gap. And this piece, I started off up here, and then I realized this knot is going to cause an issue. No good. So what I did was I shifted this down and I redrew it. We're going to be sanding these so they have no pencil on them. Draw as much as you'd like. In fact, I even realized this piece will be a lot easier if I have the hole facing the outside of the plank. I also use the edge of the plank that I have because that's going to save me 2 more cuts. So for these pieces, I'm going to use different tools so you see how I could approach it with any tool. So I always try to work my way from the outside in. The more I cut this up, the less material I have to hold on to. So I'm going to start off with this outside piece, and I'm going to cut out the groove in the center. Now I'm going to have to use what's called a relief cut. I won't be able to make a 90-degree turn in the wood. That's ridiculous. There's no way that I can make that turn here. So what I'm going to do is use multiple cuts. I'm going to go in. I'm going to then go in. So I'm going to go in straight. You know what? I'll do it now, and I'll show you the process. So I have the guard set. Good. Just like that. Let it get up to speed. I've done one cut straight through. I messed up. I did an extra cut, but here you can see I've cut a triangle where I met the spot that I stopped at. So far, I've got that notch. Now I'm going to put the blade in sideways and get this wide section. At this point, I was able to get in diagonally. I'm going to stop the video here and I'm going to just continue making little cuts at a time until I get to our next piece. Now that I've got the hole cut out here, I'm going to cut out the entire piece. Very simple. Turn on the machine. One, it's done. Let's go to number two. I'm cutting the second one out with our Blade Runner. It's going to be the same piece as this one, but I just want to identify here. For this, oh wait, I'm not going to do it on this one. I'm going to go to the saber saw. All right, so this one, remember, you want to be close to the machine and have a lot of control. If I'm not pushing down, it's going to wiggle back and forth, but I'm going to be able to get very precise curves with this one. I'm going to use the same exact process. I'm going to use relief cuts and take out bit by bit. So here I was able to get a little bit out. I'm going to keep working at this now. Whenever you're making your cuts on this tool, and if you're starting to do a curve and you realize it's going to go over the line, stop. Turn off the machine and guide it away from the blade. You can always go back in and make another cut, but you can never add material back. Now I've got my second notch cut out, but I'm not actually going to cut out the puzzle piece because I want some material that I can hold on to when I go to cut this last center piece out. To make my life easy, I drew a central line. I drew a center line because I'm going to use a drill to drill out holes from the center here. I'm only going to use two. Now, you can use a 3/8 inch drill bit, exactly the same size as the groove. That's going to make life easy. What I'm going to do is center the bit on that center line and make sure I don't go over the edge. Now, when I go to drill, I also want to drill over a hole on the bench. There's holes here. So now I got my safety glasses. I line it up. I get the center. I'm going to slowly begin. The drill will have a tendency to want to slide around. That's no good. So what you got to do is make sure it's starting the hole centered. If it wiggles around, you got to stop and fix it. Go in, straight through. I didn't have a hole. To make my life easy, I'm going to do a second hole as well. Centered. Good. Yeah, that time it's wiggling. It's no good. I don't want to wiggle. There we go. Now we're all set for step 3, the Blade Runner. To use this Blade Runner, we are going to be cutting from the center of our drilled holes. You loosen the guard first. Then you're going to loosen the arm. This will allow you to pick it up, put it in the hole, and now you'll be able to cut from the center of your puzzle piece. I'm now going to put it back in reverse order. Arm first, tighten. Good, just check. And now I'm gonna let the guard fall flat on my surface and I tighten it. Now what you are going to do is, from an edge where you can't see anymore, I'm going to have a very controlled cut, just removing the center. If ever something gets stuck in there, turn off the machine, unplug the machine, and try to get it out. You can always call for my help. I'll help you as best I can. I decided I want you to hear what this sounds like so you're familiar. This is what my first cut looks like. I'm going to have to put it back in and clean it up more. I'm going to do that now. Now that I have all of my grooves cut out, I'm going to cut the outside of both puzzle pieces. Now we go to check. And guess what? I still need to cut a little bit more. Turns out I was a little extra careful about not going over the line. So when I look, this one's real close. It looks like it's either the width of one of these pieces. So I'm going to put them next to each other and make sure that they all look the same. And some of these actually look a little wider. So now I need to analyze my work and see what is causing it not to work as a puzzle piece. I would then make my cuts to fix whatever problems there are. So to test this, I am checking the gap here should be as thick as the thickness of the wood. Same with this one. It should be as thick as the wood. This one with the hole in the thing, you're going to be able to put every piece in sideways. The tighter, the better. At this point, I test my puzzle and I fix it up until I get the most snug without being loose fit as I can. If you're loose, it's no good. If it's loose, you're a goose. I think that's how the saying goes. And here, I got it nice and snug. What's neat is over time, it will loosen up because you'll be bending the fibers just from using the puzzle. I swear I just had this. There we go. And so now it is very tight. You don't even see gaps. I'm very proud of this one. The last step is to clean it up. Now, here's the word of caution. Before you use a sander on this, you have to realize that I've seen students work diligently for a long time, and then within 15 seconds, they ruin everything because they sand it too much. So when it comes time to sand, you are going to very carefully hand sand until all of the pencil marks away. All the pencil marks go away. That's it. And then you have yourself a beautiful little puzzle that is going to stand the test of time. The original one that I've made has lasted over 10 years and it pretty much looks new.